Pokemon trainers, welcome to Gotta Watch 'Em All, episode 48. I'm one of your hosts, Ken Pescator, joined by my co-host, Adam Tuttle. Adam, what is good?
Everything involving Pokemon, because you know what?
Dude,
there's insane amount of news again.
This has been a significantly busy week, and probably more information was released about the world of Pokemon just in the past few days than has been in maybe 2 or 3 months. It's just been a very busy week. We're going to break it down. We're a podcast that covers Pokemon in all its forms, then watches along with an episode of the anime going all the way back to episode 1. But today we're going to be watching episode 48, which is called Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden.
Ooh, mysterious.
Today is Thursday, May 31st, 2018. And like we said just a few minutes ago, this has been a just bananas week in the world of Pokemon. Just a stupid amount of information came out. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the huge Pokemon press conference that took place this week in Japan. I don't want to get ahead of myself, but we've got crazy action going on the Switch. We've been waiting for this information, and it all came out this week. Pokemon Quest, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. Just tons of new stuff in the world of, in the video game world from Pokemon. We're also going to talk about the secret rares that are in the Forbidden Light set. I do have a Forbidden Light booster for the end of the episode, so hopefully I'll pull one of those secret rares. There was a very, very cool release, a 20-year-old release of the Pokemon Gold and Silver Space World demo. Space World was Nintendo's old proprietary trade show. So back in the day, they released Gold and Silver as a demo at Space World, and there was all this stuff kind of buried and hidden in this demo, and someone just released everything, and we've got a really cool look at unreleased Pokemon, variations of Pokemon, artist renderings, concept drawings, all this really, really cool stuff. I'll make sure I put all the links up, but this is a really cool inside look at the Gold and Silver era of Pokemon. It's really, really interesting to take a look at. Then we'll end up with some Pokemon merch. We're going to talk about some stuff that's over at Pokemon Center. We also have a cool article from Nintendo Wire about Jigglypuff coming to Build-A-Bear, and I'm a big fan of these Build-A-Bear plushes. And then we'll go on to our watch-along of Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden, and you guys can watch along with us. We'll queue up our Netflix together and watch together.
And have a blast.
Yes, we'll have a Bulba blast. All right, Pokemon TCG, Forbidden Light Secret Rares. We're always big fans of secret rares on this show. We talk about them a lot. Pokemon.com put out an article that shows pretty much all of the rainbow rares that are in the secret rare set for Forbidden Light. I just love the way that these secret rares look. The rainbow rares are some of my favorites. Looking at them digitally on a screen doesn't do them justice because the amount of sheen and reflection on these cards is super high, and also they have a fantastic hand feel. So the texture that's on these cards is super cool. You definitely can, if you were blindfolded and looking through some cards, you would know when you came across one of these cards because it has a completely unique texture to it. When we interviewed Zaba last week, he talked about the process that the Pokemon Company uses on these, rares and GX cards or whatever to create all this cool texturing. And I don't understand it because it's science, but it's damn cool. So
yeah, the feel of these cards is absolutely stunning.
Which ones stand out for you? What do you like here?
The unit energies. Those are probably my favorite.
Yeah, the artwork is really neat, and they almost have like a I don't even know. It's a really unique art style on these, and I was originally going to say like a glyph, kind of. It almost has like a glyph-like, or I don't even know how to explain it, but the art is just super cool on these. They're described in the article as having a golden sparkle, which matches the golden border. So secret rares typically used to be identified by having that gold border. Now they've branched out with the secret rares, but they retain that gold border with these trainers and energies. And yeah, this mysterious treasure trainer is really cool. And dude,
there's also a metal frying pan.
Metal frying pan? Come on, it's awesome.
Like taking a straight item, putting it into the game. Yes.
Yeah, I'm a fan of this Zygarde GX Rainbow Rare also. I just like the artwork, and I like the way the rainbow kind of lays across the art of Zygarde. Looks really cool. And, Xerneas, it looks super proud and triumphant in this pose on the secret rare. So I'll put the link in the description. Definitely check him out.
Yeah, see, I have the full art version, which mimics that, but it's not It's not the super secret rainbow rare.
And again, if you're not accustomed to identifying secret rares, the Forbidden Light set has 131 cards. The secret rares are going to be designated because they come after 131. So if you see a card that's 132 of 131 or 135 of 131, then you know you're holding a secret rare and you've got something super special. So always a big fan of the secret rares, always a big fan of the rainbow rares. I do like the gold border trainers energies. They're just they just look cool. They look unique. They almost don't look like a Pokemon card. It kind of like you look at them and say, like, is that a Magic card? Like the artwork, it's just like, it looks like fantasy art almost. It's really cool.
All right, and then on Pokemon.com, they released a Zygarde GX deck. The main focus is that Bonnie is the first supporter that's allowed you to use another GX attack. Because up until now, you've only been able to use one GX attack per match. And so Bonnie says that you can play this card only if there is a stadium card in play. And then it goes on to say that you discard that stadium card. During this turn, your Zygarde GX can use its GX attack, even if you have used your GX attack before.
So this is a pretty significant change to the dynamic of GX. I mean, typically you kind of want to keep that GX move in your back pocket, or until you at least know that you're gonna get a knockout or have a big payday, from it. So being able to run that move twice is pretty solid.
Well, it doesn't have to be that move twice, but this deck pretty much makes you have to use that move twice because there's no other GX move in here that you can use with the energy that they have.
But I like that. I like when Pokemon puts this stuff together, because what they do is they give you a complete menu of the deck. So if you wanted to kind of mimic this, they make it real easy to identify what cards are in the deck and, where to find them, what they look like. As usual, there's Tapu Leles in this deck. That is the card that will not go under $40. It's just one of those expensive cards, and this deck calls for 3 of them. But whenever there's a theme deck or one of these promoted decks on Pokemon.com, it's always a good opportunity to kind of look at the menu, look at the list, and figure out how you could either take some of these strategies that they're promoting and apply it to your own deck, or take this format and kind of customize it to make it your own. But yeah, there's some stuff in here I might change, but
yeah, definitely I would change taking out the 2 ends, maybe adding another Professor Sycamore and a Cynthia, because your goal is to either save cards or discard cards. And, there's 3 Tapu Leles because you want to be able to capitalize on Bonnie. So you want to be able to play that, search for the Bonnie, and be able to use the GX attack at will, versus having to dig for it. There's also the 4 Puzzle of Time, so if you play 2 of those at the same time, you can grab that Bonnie back, potentially using it like a 3rd or 4th time. But like I said, the goal of this deck is to discard energies and then to absorb them into Zygarde.
Right. Yeah, and I also see that this deck is running 4 stadiums, 2 Parallel Cities, 2 Scorched Earth, and again, that's going to be necessary to be able to achieve the benefit of playing the Bonnie. So there is some setup involved in this strategy, but I think it's kind of cool to be able to to use Bonnie and to run 2 GX attacks. That's pretty sweet. All right, let's jump over to Pokemon Go. This is going to bleed into the press conference that will be the deep dive on today's show. You know what? Let's back up a little bit. Let's talk about this press conference. So in Japan, there's a kids Saturday morning variety show that's called Oha Suta, and they cover Pokemon all the time. It's fun to watch this show in Japanese because it's true Japanese madness, and they're so into Pokemon that it's not necessarily a special thing when they cover Pokemon. It's so built into that culture and into the dynamic of the show that it's just a normal thing. And that, from what I've been reading, they cover Pokemon on nearly every show. There's at least a mention of it, but there's always someone dressed like a Pokemon or something like that going on in the show. They always pay, tribute to Pokemon. So they put out a press statement last week saying, hey guys, there's going to be some big Pokemon news coming in about a week. We're not saying anything else. So the hype train immediately left the station. Everyone's thinking, this is the Switch news. This is what we've been waiting for. We've been hyping over on the Lured Up podcast, talking about Pokemon Go integration to the next Switch title. We had no idea what the next Switch title was going to be. And then this big news that Oha Suta was talking about actually turned into a full 45-minute press conference where Nintendo Pokemon Company and Game Freak get on stage and detail their game release plans going into 2019. So this was way more information than anyone had expected, and it blew me away that they kind of divulged so much stuff when we're just a month away from E3. So let's kind of break down everything they talked about, and then we'll go into each of the games that they mentioned. So the first game that they talk about is called Pokemon Quest. This is a free-to-start game. It's available right now on the Switch, free to download. It's a complete spin-off. It is a super unique art style. The characters are blocky. They kind of look
like Minecraft.
Almost Minecraft. Yeah, that's probably a good way to do it. And the way the world plays is I have not played the game yet. I'm got to download it tonight. But you're in like this open area. All the Pokemon can interact with each other. You can get different items to power up your Pokemon. I don't think there's necessarily, it is an RPG, but it's definitely geared towards kids and casuals. And from what I understand with people, the tweets I've been seeing about it today, super easy to pick up and play. 10 minutes into playing the game, you're kind of incomplete understanding of the way the game works and what you have to do. So in the press conference, one of the representatives from Game Freak says, look, one of our main goals is to make Pokemon more accessible, to bring it to a bigger audience, if you could believe that with how big Pokemon is. But they really wanted to open the doors to new types of gamers. And I think the Switch really lends itself to the world of Pokemon with being mobile and being able to get up and go. This is kind of the nature of Pokemon through the handheld games going all the way back to, the originals. So this Pokemon Quest seems a lot of fun. And, my son is super ecstatic to check it out. And I just think that this is going to help develop the next generation of Pokemon players, where you're going to see kids that are, 4, 5, 6 years old being able to pick up and play this game. And then you're going to have core Pokemon Go players, core, main series game players, all being able to gravitate towards this game and have fun. Adam, have you taken a look at this? Have you downloaded it?
I've taken a look. I haven't downloaded it yet, just because I've been out and about for the past 2 days. But I have seen tweets about it. I have seen people on their Instagram story talking about it. It looks awesome. It gives me a Rumble feel.
Yeah, it definitely does. It's super cartoony, and one of the taglines they use in promoting this game is battle and build. So there is some dynamic of this clubhouse thing where you can, picture Animal Crossing, where you can kind of put decorations and kind of customize where your space is to allow your Pokemon to hang out in. So there's a lot of cool customization features in the game. But, there's a Snorlax, and he's, fat and blocky, and Reversal was posting that he was catching shinies. So, it seems like this game will have some depth, but I'm not sure how long the legs are of this game, of how long it can actually last. But the fact that it's free to start is always a good thing. And, I might be able to play this game and let it run its course on the free side, and then I'll be done with it. But I'm definitely going to check this out. So that was the first one, Pokemon Quest. Then they get into the real meat and potatoes here, the core of this press conference. 2 new Switch titles, companion titles, Let's Go Eevee and Let's Go Pikachu. These are the titles that had leaked, I don't know, had to be a couple weeks ago already, that we didn't know what they were going to be. We didn't know if this was going to be a direct correlation to Pokemon Go, if this was going to be a brand new core main series game. And it kind of lives in the middle. So apparently, Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee, release date November 16th, 2018. This is coming this year, which took a lot of people by surprise. So there will be a physical and digital release for this. The game is a reimagining of Pokemon Yellow. So you are going back through Kanto and playing through that storyline. The interface of the game is very similar to Sun and Moon. So graphically, it kind of looks like Sun and Moon, a little bit more cartoony. Pikachu and Eevee will follow you. I think Pikachu sits on your shoulder, and Eevee sits in your head as you're running around. You could even have another companion Pokemon following you around.
The Electrode is awesome, and just rolls.
It rolls, yep. There's no random encounters in the game, so this is a huge departure from what we're used to in the core series games. It's more like Pokemon Go, where when you're navigating through the world, you're going to see a Pokemon in the space. You can walk up to it, interact with it, and there you go. Then you can get into the encounter. what I thought was really neat, and Nintendo is so good at making trailers. You can play this game completely with one single Joy-Con. So, from what I understand, one thumb on the joystick, one finger on the button, and that's all you need to play the entire game. So they are really stripping it down, again, playing on that higher level of accessibility, getting this game into the hands of more players and making it easier for them to pick up and play. And you could play the whole thing with one single Joy-Con. Then they drop the nugget. You could have drop in, drop out, 2-player co-op, give them the other Joy-Con. They can jump in, and when you're battling Pokemon, you can have 2-on-1 battles. They directly took the mechanic of catching a Pokemon right out of Pokemon Go. So they show the screen, you see the Pokemon, there's a ring around it, and just like Wii Bowling, you throw your imaginary Pokeball with the Joy-Con at the Pokemon on screen, and it pretty much looks just like Go. So,
and this is going to be awesome for my 4-year-old.
Heck yeah.
And even my daughter, she's 8. Like, this is going to be like awesome.
Just make sure they wear the
it's like
strap.
a family game. Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah, it's definitely a family game, and it's going to be cool as a parent to play this with our kids because it is casual and accessible enough for the kids to pick up and play. And from what it seems like, will have significantly more RPG depth than Pokemon Quest, but not as much as the core series games. So you're going to have a really nice blend of gameplay here that is super accessible. So the next big news they drop on this title is the Go integration. And this is what really is getting me excited and getting me amped up. And we still don't know all the details. E3 is a month away, so I'm sure they're going to spill the beans completely come E3, but check this out.
Yeah, they even said that they were holding off. They weren't giving us all the surprises just yet.
Right.
Well, John Hankey said that, so.
There's going to be any Kanto Pokemon that you catch in Go, you can transfer in to Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee. So what this means is you can take a Pokemon level 40, fully maxed out, import it into Let's Go, and then it goes into like this playground mode. So it's not a full integration. You're not integrating into the main storyline of the game, but there's going to be this partitioned area for the Pokemon that you bring in from Go. Again, only Kanto Pokemon, so only Gen 1. But once you import them, there's like kind of like a Pokemon refresh thing where you can pet them and clean them. There's battles where CP is retained. So you're going to see the CP of your Pokemon Go Pokemon on the Switch, but it's also it'll visibly show the level of the Pokemon, something I would hope that they would bring back over to Pogo. You can do Pokemon Battles, but your Pokemon will have 4 moves. We were just talking about this on the Lured Up podcast. 4 moves for Pokemon turn-based battles with Pokemon that you import from Pogo. So that is huge. What do you think of that, Adam? Do you think that this could be kind of foreshadowing some changes to Pokemon Go?
It's anyone's game. How are they going to do that? And vice versa. Like, okay, so I have, whatever, one of 3 moves, charge moves for my Machamp, hypothetically. I transfer it over. Now it's got a 4th move. Do I transfer it back and then now I have 4 different options to choose, or do I gain them all?
Well, this is the thing. It's a one-way street. You can bring your Pokemon from Go into Let's Go, but you can't bring it back. So once they go, they're gone. They're going to stay on the Switch. At least this is what they're telling us so far. Now, the 2-way communication that is in the game is you can send gifts from Let's Go to your phone via Bluetooth, and I guess it's going to be items or healing,
random encounters. I saw that. The little subtitle at the bottom was like, in meet a new Pokemon.
Right. So this is the big piece of hype where they are going to be announcing a brand new Pokemon. Could it be an extension off Gen 7? Could this be the first Gen 8 Pokemon? We don't know. But in this game, and from what I gather just from reading around, this new Pokemon will not only be available in Let's Go, but it almost looks like in the trailer like it's going to be available in Pokemon Go. So that's going to be interesting to follow along with because Can you imagine if they bring one single Gen 8 Pokemon to Pokemon Go? How the heck are they going to do that? I'm so intrigued to see how this rolls out.
Well, I mean, my first thought was this might be how they introduce like Shiny Mew, because that still falls within Pokemon, like Yellow. Because couldn't you get Mew?
Yeah.
Or is that just like a?
Yeah, but that's not a brand new Pokemon. That's not an unreleased.
Yeah, but it's
Pokemon.
an unreleased, if you will. I mean, it doesn't have to be. It says new Pokemon.
I don't know, man. I think it could be something crazy. I think that, I've seen the hype train and the rumor train kind of colliding, saying, well, maybe this is that fourth evolution of Pikachu that kind of leaked out a couple weeks ago. Could this be the first fourth, evolution? Could this be the first Gen 8? Is it going to be a new Ultra Beast? Because they've kind of been trickling new Ultra Beasts out. So much speculation. It's awesome. I think aesthetically these games look killer. I think the integration with Pogo is just enough to make it interesting and worthwhile. And the kicker to all this is a new peripheral. So like I said, you could play with one single Joy-Con, just the joystick and a button. They're releasing what they're calling the Pokeball Plus, which is an actual spherical Pokeball. Looks just like a Pokeball. It's on a strap that you can not only use as a Joy-Con substitute, where you're holding this ball and doing the throwing motion in the game and moving your character around. Super cool. But you can also use it as a Pokemon Go Plus, because it's going to have the same kind of Bluetooth functionality with just this one button to click in. And you can transfer a Pokemon from Let's Go into the Pokeball, take the Pokeball with you out and about like a keychain, and your Pokemon that you transferred in will be in that Pokeball. It'll make noises. I'm assuming it'll have some kind of benefit with whether it's walking distance or something, but they're making this peripheral kind of cross-platform, and it's going to do a lot of cool stuff. So I am super excited about this.
Yeah, I'm most excited about that.
Well, it's like I almost want them, even if I don't use it as a Joy-Con. I don't think it's going to replace my Pokemon Go Plus. I mean, I love my Pogo Plus, and it's so small and everything, but without a doubt, I'm going to get a couple of these things and put a bunch of Pokemon in them. That way I can have a bag full of Pokeballs, and I can lay them out on the table. And in the video, they show like them touching, and you see you hear like a Pikachu or something like that come out of it audibly. So I guess there's a speaker. It's to be seen how cool this device is going to be.
Right, and then it's like, what if you catch something, obviously it's blinded when you're catching on Go, unless you're actually opening up the screen and like watching. But like imagine you catch a Weedle and it's like,
oh, you hear the cry? Oh man.
Yeah, or you catch a Bellsprout and it's like
that
right?
Is so
like
cool.
How cool would that be?
I didn't even think of that. Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. And it's small enough to kind of fit in the palm of your hand, so it's smaller than a tennis ball, bigger than a golf ball. I guess that's kind of a good way to describe the size of it, but I'm really excited about this. This is so out of left field that, it's so Nintendo for them to do something like this.
Well, see, I'm so excited about all of this, and then they give us this next piece of news, and it actually, like, makes me fear, because everybody's so excited and so hyped about the Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu, but they're coming out with a new core RPG.
In 2019. Yeah.
Yeah, so, like, that's what scares me is, like, so Pokemon, the video game, has, like, a tournament structure. So is Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu going to be a tournament structure that they use?
No, they said no ranked battles at all in Let's Go.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So this is a true spinoff.
Okay, so
this is definitely not quote unquote main series.
Okay.
When it comes to X and Y and Sun and Moon, this is not a core game.
That's what worried me. The second that I heard that, I was like, no.
No, this is a spinoff, so it's definitely not going to interfere with the competitive aspects of the core series games. And I just think that it's absolutely perfectly placed between Pokemon Quest and the core game that's going to be coming in 2019. And we know that the core game in 19 is going to be Gen 8. They've already iterated on Sun and Moon. They can't go anywhere else with that. They're not going to release a third version of Sun and Moon. They're not going to do the Stars thing. I think that time has come and gone for that to be a thing. So this has got to be Gen 8. And you look at, this is a 3.5 year window between when Sun and Moon was released to when the next core game will come out. So I think that's fair for the next generation to be released. So it's just...
Well, see, I was thinking this was a gateway for me to get into the competitive gaming or competitive, like, Pokemon ranked battles and stuff.
Well, I just had trouble playing on the 3DS. It wasn't comfortable for me. I could never hold the thing right. It just didn't feel good in my hand. I'm an oddball when it comes to that. Now, the Switch, on the other hand, is hyper comfortable for me to use. I could play it on the main TV, but when I'm playing it in handheld mode, it feels good to me. Like, I like the feel and the weight and everything in my hand feels balanced on it. So when this core game, I'm going to play the heck out of all these games, but when this core game comes out next year, I am going deep. I'm going hard. I want to play it right. I want to get set up with Pokemon Bank. I want to go back and play old games. I really want to start developing my national decks. I want to go through it all. So I'm really, really looking forward to getting into this. I'm really excited. So I'm going to download Pokemon Quest now. A couple months you get to play Let's Go, and then in a year from now you get your core game. How awesome is that? What a lineup.
Sick.
And we have E3 next month. Like, what the heck? Like, what are they holding back? Like, how are they going to wow us? Like, they're
going to give us Alolan, Grimer, and Muk.
In Pokemon Go?
In Pokemon Go.
All right, let's jump over to Pokemon Go now that we're talking about it. So, Adventure Week in Pokemon Go is going on. This is the rock-type event. We're seeing shinies of Ammonite, Kabuto, and Aerodactyl. Rock spawns everywhere. Geodude, Lileep, Anorith. A lot of the fossils are out. New raid bosses. So that's in full swing. That goes until the 5th. We have Alolan Executor, which they announced at the press conference. John Hanke actually jumped in on the press conference via satellite, where he was holding a Switch playing Let's Go. He needed assistance. The representative from Game Freak, who's on the stage at the press conference, Pseudo sends him an item through the game, and he's able to do it and, complete it. So when they talk to him, they say, look, we're not announcing everything, but Alolan Executor is now available in Pokemon Go, and they are everywhere. I mean, you pull up your nearby, if there's 9 Pokemon on there, half of them or more are going to be Alolan Executor, which I don't mind because he's awesome.
There's so many of them, and I just remember being on my chats, and just somebody posted it, and I was like, where is that? Where is that? And I was freaking out more or less as to where that is and how I can go get one. And, like, by the time I got ready and, like, was pulling out of my driveway, I hadn't even, like, opened up the game. And I opened up the game, and it's, like, right there.
Well, that's the same thing that happened to me. The first time I turned the game on after seeing that it was released, there was 2 of them, like, right there. I was at my desk at work. I was like, wow, they're not messing around. Like, they are making these things everywhere, which is cool because it's a dragon type. People are still, holding out to get their dragon medal. This is going to help them out huge. I've probably caught 50 or 60 of these things already, which is just nuts because they are literally everywhere.
Yeah, I caught 30 that night.
Wow. Nice. They also announced that the upcoming field research breakthrough in Pokemon Go for the month of June will be Articuno. So if you missed that legendary when it first came around, or you want to get some, better IV, another shot at it, if you're, on your daily grind, you can get 4 during the month of June. And, finally, like I said, we have the Let's Go integration. I'm really, really anxious to see where this goes. Really looking forward to E3. I think that a lot of news is going to come out, and Nintendo has been doing this thing where, 2 years ago it was Breath of the Wild, took over their E3 presence. And last year you had Mario Odyssey take over their presence. I think that Pokemon will be the dominant thing in Nintendo's E3 lineup. And I just think we're going to get, information overload come E3. So I'm super hyped. I cannot wait.
What if they give anybody that, like, demos it that item window where, like, they can connect it to their phone and, like, how crazy would that
and they
be?
get a goodie right then and there. They get their first gift. That'd be sick. I miss working in the video game industry, man. I went to E3 from 2004 to 2009. That was like some of the best years for E3. It was when like Xbox 360 and the Wii and PS3 were launching. So that was just a great time for video games. And that was when E3 was way over the top with booths and, spending and all this crazy madness. They kind of turned the volume down and tamed themselves, no booth babes and stuff like that in the years that followed. But I got to go during those crazy rockstar years of the video game industry, which was really cool. But man, I really wish I was able to get to E3 this year with some kind of press credential, because I just know that you're going to walk into Nintendo's booth and they're going to rebuild Kanto or something. Like, it's just going to be a living, breathing Pokemon world in their booth. Like, when they did the Breath of the Wild booth, they had grass. They had real grass in their booth. You'd walk into their booth, you're walking on grass. It's like so awesome.
That's sick.
All right, let's see where we can go next with this. We've kind of covered everything with Let's Go. Let me make sure I didn't miss anything here. Yeah, no random encounters. You can send gifts. There's more to announce. Brand new Pokemon. So we did cover all that. Here's an interesting tidbit. The Space World demo. Again, we mentioned this at the top of the show. The Space World demo, which was Nintendo's trade show. This was before E3, even probably in the same time of like CES, when CES was kind of the big consumer electronics show. That was the big thing for video games. Nintendo did their own thing, of course, because they're Nintendo. And they released Gold and Silver as a demo for the event. And I'm reading the article on Polygon right now, and never before seen designs, pre-evolutions, evolutions, brand new Pokemon, all this crazy concept art. And some of it is like, actual sprites. So you're seeing the in-game sprite version of unreleased Pokemon, which is fascinating in its own right. But some of them are variations of existing Pokemon. So, like, they have this Mr. Mime that looks nothing like Mr. Mime. They've got a pre-evolution to Girafarig, which is terrifying. They've got, all these cool, like, the starters for, Cyndaquil, Totodile look totally, totally different than their released forms. And you see Remoraid, Octillery, even the legendary beasts have crazy designs. So I'll link to this in the description. It's definitely worth checking out, especially if you were a Gold or Silver fan. But looking at this giant wall of sprites that they released, you could spend a lot of time looking at this stuff. And there's some cool artwork in here. I love the way the sprite for Machamp looks in particular. That's one of the favorites here. But there's plenty of stuff to look at. I'll put the link in the description. I did not play through Gold and Silver when it had initially released. I played through it a couple years after, but Gold and Silver were awesome. And, seeing some of this stuff, it's like, man, I can imagine what the landscape of Pokemon would look like if some of these Pokemon actually released, because they're just so different. Like, any standouts to you here?
The Octillery, the difference of that is, like, it's armored like a tank.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And that looks, honestly, that would be a huge selling point for me. Like, that, I want that in the game. I don't like the regular Octillery. I'm now upset about it.
Well, what I like about, Remoraid to Octillery has always been one of those funky evolutions where you're like, how does this make sense? You're turning from a fish to an octopus. Now, they make this play on the octopus because the Octillery's obviously still an octopus, but its tentacles are wrapped around like tank treads. And it almost has like the Q*bert snout that looks like a tank turret, the actual cannon.
Yep.
It's, you know what, man? This one might be one of my favorites of the list too. And all the stuff is in Japanese, so we really don't know. We're going by what Polygon is saying here in terms of translation, but I don't know.
And even the legendary dogs. So I mean, the Suicune looks like something from the Dark Crystal, and then the Entei looks like it's Houndour or Houndour.
Yeah.
And then the Raikou looks like Zebstrika, just like with reverse colors. So like all the black is white and all the white is black.
That's
what it looks like to me.
There's a new version or a different version of Porygon 2, which doesn't look anything like a computer-generated Pokemon. There's just a lot of cool stuff in here. I'll put the link in. Let us know which ones are your favorites, because there's a lot to look at. I mean, even Ditto looks different. It's like they even gave it like a weird mouth. But there's hundreds of sprites to look at. It's really neat. Really, really cool. Before we get into our watch along, let's talk about some Pokemon merch. Pokemon Center is always pumping stuff out. This week is no different. I'm a huge fan of Ditto. I have a bunch of Ditto plushes at my house, and they released a new Ditto line with Lapras, Dragonite, Magikarp, Sableye, and Omanyte. And dude, the Magikarp is fantastic. The Dragonite is fantastic. They're all so good. The Omanyte is very relevant now because we're in Adventure Week for Pokemon Go. I just love this entire line. I want the entire thing. I want all my Pokemon plushes in this house to be Ditto. I just love them all.
I mean, I personally have the Sableye plush, not the Ditto one, so now I need that just to have side by side.
That's hilarious. And if you're not familiar with how Ditto looks when he, transforms into an existing Pokemon, the body and shape and dimensions are pretty much the same of the Pokemon, but rather than having the actual Pokemon's facial features, it just retains the 2 dots and the smiley face Ditto face. So it looks super basic and super hilarious, but the Magikarp one, I'm a sucker for Magikarp, so
yes, you are.
That's coming home. It's got to come home. I can't wait. To counterbalance the goofiness and the cartooniness of these Ditto plushes, is they did release a Duskform Lycanroc plush, and this is like one of those serious-looking plushes that kind of looks like a giant action figure. It's just...
But somehow they make it plush.
Yeah, it's really cool. It's really cool. $22.99 to 12.5 inch. So it looks like it could stand on its own. I like when plushes can stand up. I think that's kind of cool. Lycanroc Duskform is a good-looking Pokemon. It's got nice green eyes. It looks really sweet. So tons of plushes over on Pokemon Center, but Pokemon Center is not the only place to get a plush, because Build-A-Bear, we're going to jump over to an article from NintendoWire.com. Build-A-Bear is bringing a Jigglypuff into the lineup, and with the Pikachu, the Charmander, and the Eevee, you can kind of tell that these things are Build-A-Bear plushes, like they kind of have this own look to them. This Jigglypuff looks like it could be straight from the Pokemon Center. It's just absolutely legit Jigglypuff. And you can get...
Yeah, it's rounded and everything.
You can get like a cape with a furry hood and a microphone. It is perfect. It is so awesome. It's going to be $28 online, and then you can get the cape and the sound chip with all the sounds. If you remember, we had Jason from Nintendo Wire on, a bunch of episodes ago. He had the Bulbasaur Build-A-Bear, and he had the sound card in it, and he was able to let all the official sounds out. So I'm sure Jigglypuff will sing in this, little, sound chip.
Oh man, that would be perfect.
It's gonna be so cool. I cannot wait. My son is a huge fan of Build-A-Bear, and we love the process. We love the process of going to the store to build it and personalize it, and stick the little heart on the inside and make it all personal, and get like the birth certificate and all that stuff. And then if you do it in store, you also get a promo card, which you can't go wrong with. So that's gonna wrap up our merch segment. We're gonna take a quick break here. We're gonna get our anime synced up. We'll watch that together, and this was a great episode. I cannot wait to watch it again. But we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back in just a moment.
Hold up, everyone. Are you ready for a sing-along? Slowpoke in a reggae style. Pokemon. Come in. Slow.
And we're back. And we're about to start our watch-along of episode 48 of the Pokemon anime. It is called Bulbasaur's Mysterious Garden. Original U.S. air date was April 3rd, 1999. So we got our Netflix queued up. What we could do here is I'll do a countdown. We'll hit play at the same time. Mute yours. Listen to our shenanigans. Join in on the conversation. Let us know what you think of the episode. And we're going to start this bad boy in 3, 2, 1, play.
Blast off.
So you can go ahead and mute yours now and watch along. So I'm so excited about this press conference, man. Like, there's just so much to talk about. There's so much going on. I think that Pokemon Quest into Let's Go, and then finally into the core game in 19, I just think it's a perfect progression to set kids up, set casuals up, set first-time players up, and give them something to kind of keep their appetite busy and get their mechanics and core skills of the game going. And then before you know it, 2019 will roll around, and these people are going to be ready to graduate to a full-blown Pokemon game. And before you know it, you're going to have casual gamers or mobile gamers that have moved over to a core console RPG. That's a tough task, is to get people to play these games.
Yeah.
So, but I think that they're doing it right by, kind of stair-stepping over the next year.
Ash marches onward towards Cinnabar Gym.
All right, we got our episode starting here.
But along the way, Other challenges will play an important
So I got really excited at the beginning of this episode because, one, they talk about the gyms right away.
Yeah, they talk
episode
about
starts
going to
with a
Cinnabar.
battle. Like 2 seconds into the episode, we're already showing a battle, and it's kind of very reminiscent of the handheld games where Ash is just kind of on his way to the next gym, walking through the woods, meets this random lumberjack, and before you know it, Pikachu is kind of stressed out. Ash and Brock is stressed out. Misty's stressed out, and this dude lets out a Rhyhorn.
And just completely just trashes Bulbasaur.
It pretty much just barrels over Bulbasaur. Bulbasaur ends up like getting this giant knot on its forehead, and I'm surprised here because Ash calls back Bulbasaur immediately, just because it took this shot. Now, granted, this is a serious shot; it just took to the head, but Bulbasaur is so determined that it won't even go back into the Pokeball when Ash calls for it, which I thought was neat.
And this guy's just like, "You must be a crappy trainer."
Yo, check out Pikachu gets behind his boy. He's like, "You can do it. Just do it."
Do a belly flop.
So Bulbasaur rips out the Razor Leaf, follows up with a Vine Whip. Bam. 2-hit KO. And Lumberjack's like, what?
And in this episode, there's so much sweet animation that happens.
Bulbasaur can never settle for being second.
Yeah, I like the way
the art
a lot of
style
animation
is
look. And
evolved.
we were talking about that last week, where there was definitely different animation styles. Still the same animation team, but they're definitely developing different techniques and different methods, to how they give such expressiveness to the battles. So what we're seeing here is Bulbasaur is whooped from the battle. He's got a concussion, and his bulb is kind of glowing. So it's like, what the heck is going on here? And Ash, rightfully so, kind of panics and knows that he's got to get Bulbasaur some help because he's concerned.
Something is really wrong with my Bulbasaur. I think it must be
A log cabin Pokemon Center appears. Diddle-diddle-diddle.
So they're on their way to Cinnabar City. I don't necessarily know where this Pokemon Center is that they're at, but it's still in the woods. So I don't think they're not at Cinnabar yet.
But I'll do whatever I can.
But Nurse Joy and Chansey take Bulbasaur away, and you're in good hands if Nurse Joy's around.
Yeah, she's like, I can't confirm or deny that he's gonna be okay.
You might want to say your final goodbyes now.
And at first I thought when Togepi was talking or getting all excited, because it is fairy type, I thought it was the reason the flowers were blooming.
Oh yeah.
But we'll see why coming up. But I really thought it was Togepi at first. I was like, weird. How do they play that in?
Shouldn't be surprised. That mountain man said Bulbasaur was strong, and that's because you've done
So Bulbasaur is okay. Outside of the concussion, it's just ready to evolve. So that's why the bulb was kind of glowing, and I like how they put the little Band-Aid over the boo-boo on his head.
Let me see.
Listen, that fixes everything. My son, you just put a Band-Aid on it, boom, it's done.
What do you mean?
And here Nurse Joy's explaining that all the Bulbasaurs get together to evolve, and that this is the result is that all these flowers bloom.
Flowers are sparkling.
Which is so awesome.
They say that at a certain time of the year,
And look at all
Bulbasaur
them
gather
glistening
together from all over
little
the world
sparkles.
For the festival where they evolve. No one knows
So
why
they
choose that
Nurse
time,
Joy kind of
except
gives the
every
breakdown
year.
that
But it seems to have
there's
something
these
to do
rituals,
with
and
the
we've seen
environment
this
of the
with
planet.
Butterfree, we've seen this with Pikachu, we've seen it with Grimers, we've seen it with lots of different Pokemon now where they have these group rituals or these group kind of things that go on, and she's explaining that the mysterious garden is this legendary place that no one has ever really seen, that the Bulbasaurs kind of gather and then they have a literal evolution party.
The mysterious garden must be someplace out there.
Yeah, and this is where I think that they
I want to see that.
one of the artists, took on another animating career after this here. If you catch my drift and you're actually watching this.
So all the Bulbasaurs are rolling out. This is kind of cool because it kind of makes sense why they put the Band-Aid on our Bulbasaur's head, because that way you know that that's our Bulbasaur.
And he's just walking away.
You know, I always like the dynamic of Pikachu kind of being this bridge between Ash's Pokemon and Ash. So, as Bulbasaur is sneaking out here, Pikachu kind of, you know, is trying to figure out what the heck is going on, and Pikachu can always get through to these other Pokemon, which I really like, and that kind of shows that Pikachu is special. You know, he's not thinking for himself. He's not even just thinking for the other Pokemon. He's really being that bridge between those Pokemon and Ash. So this was a cool scene. What we see here is a whole slew of Bulbasaur kind of vine whipping our Bulbasaur, lifting him up into the air, and like some crazy ritualistic cult start carrying him off to the mysterious garden. Pikachu! Pikachu! Pikachu!
And Pikachu's like, Bulbasaur tells Pikachu not to
attack, right?
Use Thunderbolt. Yeah. He's like, you can't win! Just let me go. Determined, Pikachu runs back to wake up Ash.
Hey, we're trying to sleep, Ash.
I was going to say that, you know, there's really only one way to wake up Ash. To shock the crap out of him. What?
Bulbasaur isn't in the room. Pikachu, what happened? Do you know where it went?
It's like one of the first times you see Ash in like a black t-shirt.
This is dreamy. It makes me feel just like a princess in a fairy tale.
I feel another
That is weird.
I hate this sparkly
So it was just a matter of time before we saw Team Rocket.
And I'm allergic to your whining.
Yeah, they always just seem to kind of be 10 steps behind our party, but
Yes, we're gonna get you, Pikachu.
yeah, they're complaining about the magical flower pollen that's kind of glistening.
Making James sneezy.
Look, and they just happen to walk right next to the Bulbasaurs.
Bulbasaur blowout.
They're like, let's get him.
So this may be one of the quickest blasting offs ever.
Which way, Pikachu?
So it's like they see the Bulbasaurs, they get super excited about it, they all vine whip them at the same time, and 3 seconds later they're blasted off at the speed of light. It's like, alright, see you, Team Rocket.
Those Bulbasaur are gonna pay for this.
We won't take this lying down. This way, follow that stream of pollen.
It should lead us straight to
Down for the
Bulbasaur.
count.
We must be near the mysterious garden.
So, I really like this part. This kind of... It you know, when Nurse Joy was explaining about the mysterious garden and talking about how no one has ever seen it, no one's ever really been there, and it's almost like what is going on here is the forest itself protecting the garden.
Now I'm beginning to understand.
Like, look at that.
See, at first I thought it was Bulbasaur's, but those are straight up
Yeah,
vines.
brown.
Way to go now into the garden. What is it, Pikachu?
So they actually
it
got
pans
blocked
out.
in on the right side of the wall. And, you know, they see this giant-looking tree of life in the background, and you have all these Bulbasaurs that drank the Kool-Aid and are all ritualistically chanting, you know, under a full moon. All this radioactive, glistening pollen kind of centers around this giant tree.
That's neat. Wow, it's so pretty.
And it basically makes it bloom.
That's kind of a really cool animation technique, too. That's like almost like light painting. It's really, really cool looking.
Yeah, this is what I'm saying. They're introducing like fog and like this new style. Like, there's just so much that goes into this.
So out from this giant tree of life comes this giant Venusaur. Sits up on the stump, and you have all these little bulbas around it.
It's giant.
Tsar, Venusaur. Bust out the Pokedex, get the info.
But that kind of
Oh yeah, Pokedex has a
it's
new
the
voice.
evolution.
I don't see my Bulbasaur anyplace around here.
Actor got fired.
Bulbasaur still has that bandage on its head.
Right?
Hey,
So again, the Band-Aid is our defining factor. That's how we know who our Bulbasaur is.
Aren't supposed to be here.
Oh, right.
Let's watch the festival.
Bro, be quiet. Come on.
So they end up just spying on this whole. They're calling it the Evolution Festival, but you see all the glistening pollen kind of around here, and now they're all in unison, just soaring.
Venusaur.
But our Bulbasaur is like, you know what? I don't know how I feel about this. And then through this Kool-Aid ritual, all the Bulbasaurs simultaneously start evolving into Ivysaur. And, it's
synchronized
evolution.
Oh, and the puns here kill me.
Psych. So it's like, it really is the forest is alive. Because now the forest itself just attacked Team Rocket in a Vine Whip style, but that's definitely not a Bulbasaur's Vine Whip. That's definitely just the forest coming to life. Now we're seeing some cool evolution animation here.
That's gonna be like the first, like, from afar, Celebi interaction. Because isn't that the Forest Guardian?
Oh, snap. I didn't even think of that.
Pokemon's like, we gotta explain this somehow. We gotta explain this somehow. Celebi did it.
Bulbasaur is an animal
Soar.
or a plant type. If either plants or animals disappeared from the planet, life
It's funny you mentioned Dark Crystal earlier in the episode. I was actually thinking of Dark Crystal when I heard the Venusaur kind of chanting. Because, the Mystics in the beginning of Dark Crystal, like, oh.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if my Bulbasaur is going to evolve too. Oh!
It's not evolving.
Why not?
So, this scene is great, and, we've talked plenty about the morality and the decision-making process of Ash from a humane perspective, going back to Butterfree, going back to Metapod, things like that. And what we're seeing here is Ash's Bulbasaur, who's known to be stubborn, stepping up and standing up to this giant Venusaur, and
just saying, like,
pretty
I don't
much
want to
arguing
evolve.
with it, saying, "Yo, I don't want to evolve. Leave me alone."
Others are getting really angry at Bulbasaur.
He's like, I'm strong the way I am.
Bulbasaur's even more stubborn than you.
How does Ash make it down there that fast? You just put it into perspective. And this Vine Whip is a much quicker.
See, he slides. Bam!
And he just takes it. And he's still standing.
Are you okay?
Look at this smirk. See that? I love it because, again, being, the humanitarian Pokemon trainer he is, he'll put himself in the way. He'll put himself in between danger, You see that in the first episode with the,
Pikachu and the Spearows.
Yeah, the Spearows.
I feel like it ruined your festival, and I'm very sorry about that. But if Bulbasaur doesn't want to evolve yet, I don't think you should have the right to force it to.
Yeah, tell him, Ash.
And then the other, so then there's the other question. So the tree was already pollinated and bloomed,
Don't you want to have
and Venusaur just had to do it again.
Sorry.
No, it was dead, kind of dead at the beginning of the
To do it or not.
festival.
Yeah, but all the sparkles, they made the leaves come out, and then it was just gone.
Bulbasaur has a right to decide when
I don't know.
it's
And
ready
then
to
another
evolve.
thing. Here's all these Bulbasaurs that evolved into Ivysaurs. Where's the Ivysaurs that are evolving into Venusaur?
We decided to rise above
Just
it
keep
all.
talking, my headphones died.
Now we'll have to
Oh no!
prepare for
Here
trouble.
comes Team Rocket.
For trouble.
Du-du-du-du.
To protect the world.
I mean, they're playing this right. They decided that if they weren't gonna get through the vines, they're gonna go over the vines.
Jesse.
And you're like, what are they wearing? Come on.
It's like half kimono, half like bathrobes.
And like Jessie had her little axe. Like, what is she gonna do with that?
Here we go.
Look at James Bow. One of my favorite classic cartoon cartoon things. This is the vacuum, the giant vacuum.
And somehow all of these Ivysaurs get sucked up.
But Ash doesn't.
Right. And it's like a unbreakable balloon bag.
What are those things called? Wobble balls?
Yep. And how does Venusaur have that many vines? Here, let me just crank it up to 10 volts, like 10 knots.
You know, and it's cool seeing how
Sucking up
many
Venusaur.
vines come out of Venusaur, too.
A thunder attack might hurt the Ivysaur that Team Rocket captured.
We gotta do something.
And that animation style, as you see the electricity, it was just straight lines.
Yep.
Oh, his Band-Aid.
Look how happy he is. I'm saved.
And look at that, she's just like, the wind doesn't even faze me. It's just like a nice breeze.
My hat will stay on.
All that's left is a puny little Bulbasaur. Should we get it?
And this is how like long it's been, because it was nighttime when they all started this.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
So this whole pans out right through the night.
Keep that rock.
Because the second... And look, the moon is right there.
Yep.
It's up at its highest. Bulbasaur, you have to do it.
So, this is potentially one of my favorite scenes to date. There's the sunrise. To date. In
Sunrise is not that fast.
Come on, man.
Bulbasaur
Cartoon
just
logic,
turned it.
man.
But Bulbasaur just turned it today. He was like, "Sun, where are
Sunny
you?"
day.
You could do that.
Oh, okay. Touche.
Bulbasaur, get ready to use your solar beam.
So, the sun's coming up. It's charging up Bulbasaur. And, you know, we're going to get our first glimpse of Solar Beam. And what Adam was talking about with the new animation style. Like, look how bad this looks. This is so awesome. That's like straight out of like Robotech. That's like hardcore, you know, like mech animation explosions.
And look, even like the sun's glare and everything, like,
Look at that.
and look, multiple layers, you know, because the pieces of the balloon were
Yep.
in one when all the Ivysaurs are falling.
Venusaur. Look at the derpy face.
Look at the
I love
face.
that.
Bulbasaur's like, nah, I got this. You guys just sit back and watch.
Team Rocket's blasting off again.
Way too many vines.
Great job, Bulbasaur.
That was amazing.
I'm pretty sure all those vines were just going to tear them limb from limb.
Right? They got off easy.
For the kids' sake. All of a sudden, Venusaur's all happy. Hey, thank you.
It's like, alright, you know what, Bulbasaur? You alright.
I guess Venusaur finally understands.
I think you're right.
Right? And the sun, okay. It's right there. It's midday now. Like,
Love it, man. Love it.
man, time flies.
Celebi opens up the forest.
After the
Yep.
Evolution Festival, it must disappear.
Yeah, I'm sure glad we were here to see it.
So no wonder no one has ever seen the Mysterious Garden, because it's truly a temporary thing that is generated by the forest. They have their overnight rave, and then it goes away. And then they clean up in the morning.
No one knows if
And apparently the sun just, like, comes up out of nowhere in time. Like, because now it's nighttime, right? I mean... Oh, sorry, you're gonna cry. Baba. Bulbasaur.
Yeah.
Alright, guys, y'all up for the poker rap? Nah, I still haven't mastered it. Somebody gave me the To Be a Master CD at one of the raids I was at the other day.
No way.
I've just been listening to it nonstop, yeah. And I have my son in the car, and he's like, "Is this the Pokemon song?" I'm like, "Yep." And so when we were watching this today too, he goes, you need to sing this. Can you sing this?" And I'm like, Bulbasaur, Charmander.
We may have to do
I was
something
like,
with this, man. We may have to do a... you know what I would love to do? Is, if our community was up to it, have a community-contributed poker rap, where everyone just does a one-liner from the poker rap, and then I could stitch it all together with our community singing it. I think that would be awesome. Like, everyone says one Pokemon.
That'd be
epic. So cool, right? So we're gonna plan on that. So you guys better get your rap skills up, because we're gonna do a poker rap soon.
Well, you don't even need your rap skills. Just say, Bulbasaur,
Charmeleon,
Wartortle. I mean, who's got that line?
All right, so what'd you think, man?
Such a sweet episode. I loved. I don't even I don't care that we're off track, because there's a lot of morality stuff for Bulbasaur. He wanted to prove that he's strong on his own. The animation was insane. Jesse and James just got knocked upside the head with as many vines as I can't even count.
Well, I think this episode kind of is a bridge to get us back on track. They start off with the battle. They start off with the narrator saying they're on their way to Cinnabar to go to the 7th gym. So they're making mention of the core mission, the storyline of going from gym to gym and the Pokemon League and stuff like that. So I'm confident and I'm happy that that's kind of back in the forefront of everything. Overall, man, this was a good episode. I really enjoyed the fact that things are getting back on track, and again, further development of the bonding between Ash and his Pokemon, and we see Pikachu really becoming this kind of leader of Ash's Pokemon, which is cool because he's just getting along and communicates with everyone really cool. So, good stuff. Now, I'm typically the one that forgets a booster, right?
But I've dropped the ball on almost everything this week, so I'll have to make up for it.
So
I apologize.
I've got a Forbidden Light booster. This is my first Forbidden Light booster. I've been slacking. So I went to GameStop today and picked up the Forbidden Light pre-release kit. So they still had a couple of these laying on the shelves, $20, 4 boosters. I got the Lycanroc stamped Forbidden Light card, which I'm really excited about. And I got some boosters, so I'm going to rip the sucker open. And let's see what I get. Alright.
Cross my fingers.
Hawlucha, Unit Energy, Braixen, Bunnelby, Honedge, Execute, Noibat, Magnemite. Oh, the art on Magnemite is super cute. Avalugg, Xurkitree is my rare. Oh, the reverse is Avalugg and the rare is Xurkitree. Okay, so Anticlimactic. No goodies. I forget that this comes with an energy too, so that's why I have my count off. But all right, so again, it doesn't always have to be about the GX. It doesn't always have to be about the super rare. I'm looking at.
Hey, you pulled
looking back here. Oh, the
the
Execute. I didn't even realize this is one of those practical artworks where they're actually 3-dimensional figures. They're actual items. Like, it's the eggs themselves are actual plushes. So that's really cool. The Magnemite art is fantastic. Believe it or not, the Avalugg art is really cool too. And the Xurkitree is just bizarre looking, and it's cool to see an Ultra Beast card that isn't a GX though. So that's kind of cool. I'm just giving myself reasons to not be upset that I didn't get an Ultra Rare. But that's fine. But next week, Adam, we'll make sure we get you a booster so you can join in on the fun. But I'll put up a picture of the Xurkitree and some of the other pulls from this booster so you can check them out. So check out our Instagram. But that's pretty much going to wrap up the show. Adam, you got anything else?
No, I'm just so excited about
so many games.
Let's Go.
So many games.
There's just so much. My head is in a whirlwind.
So you can check out everything that we're doing over at GottaWatchEmAll.com. We are at Gotta Watch 'Em All pretty much across all social media. We're Gotta Watch 'Em All podcast on Twitch. Please email us, info@GottaWatchEmAll.com. Other than that, we hope everyone checks out our website, and we will see everyone next week. Adam, where can they find you on the internet?
You can find me at PhoenixBack4Fire.
And I am at ProudGamerTweet. And we are at Gotta Watch 'Em All. Thanks so much for checking us out. We'll see everyone next week for another awesome episode. We're getting real close to the end of the Indigo League. It's coming.
Yeah. Really close.
So really, really close. So we're going to have to figure out a plan B of how we're going to watch these Orange Island episodes. Because they're not
If anyone has any advice, please let us know.
Pokemon Crossroads, help! No, we'll figure it out. We'll get our hands on these episodes, and we'll keep the goodness going for episode 52 forward. So thanks again, and we'll see everyone next week.